everybody. Welcome to Band Advice TV. I am your host, Mark Allen V. and
Matt Mason.
It's good to see you again.
Man, you too, dude. What's been going on?
I'll just staying busy. So for you guys that don't know, this is the Matt and Mark About Music podcast. We've been a little busy lately. Haven't had a chance to shoot any episodes, but we're going to explain to you why. So why don't you tell us what you've been up to?
Man, I've been putting out this album. I played with Robin Trower at the Brady Theater. We did TV on KTUL in Tulsa. That was a big undertaking.
I bet it was.
You know, and the band I had with me was different than my usual, and so it was a lot to take on, but I'm glad I did it, and it came out really good.
Awesome. Now, where was this at?
It was at the Brady Theater in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
Soon to be renamed
Tulsa Theater or something like that.
Yeah, the Hostess Twinkies something theater.
God, I can remember it used to be called the Old Lady on Brady.
Yeah, right.
In fact, I think it still says that on one of the awnings above the concession stand. It says the Old Lady. But yeah, they're having to change the name. They're changing the name of the street down there in that whole district anyways.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I saw that they took the letters off the outside. It no longer says Brady Theater outside, but they're still billing it as far as ticket sales and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's going to probably be a little changeover period. Like when Phillips was rebranded as ConocoPhillips.
Right.
I mean, think about everything that now all of a sudden has to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from their free ink pens to their credit card applications to their logos. I mean, signage. I mean, anybody in that department had lots of work.
Yes.
Forever to do.
Yes,
So it's the same kind of thing.
Yep.
Same kind of deal. And so I never played there before, and so that was really good. I really enjoyed it, and it's just a real different kind of thing to look out there and see 1,500 people who are actually there to watch the music.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And so I this is the third time we played with Trower.
So how do you land a gig like that?
Well, you're just patient and persistent and polite.
Ah, 3 Ps. Okay.
Yeah, and
cool.
So I started when I saw that advertised in January the 3rd. I immediately sent a message to Trower's management. I kind of gotten to where they know me a little bit since we played with them a couple more times before that. And so he immediately wrote me back and said, I have no problem with you all being on the bill. You did a great job these last times. It's okay with the promoter. It's okay with me. So I'd never worked with DCF before, and so it took me a little while to get them kind of warmed up. But, I sent one message, no answer. I sent another message, and it's like, well, we don't know what we're doing yet. And I was like, well, I got an idea. Here, I'll send you this message from his management in England, and no answer. And so they're waiting on somebody to buy on, probably is how it really goes.
Okay, well, what do you mean by buy on?
I mean that a lot of those opening acts, they pay for the privilege to be included on such a
pay to play.
Awesome.
Huh?
Yeah, it's pay to play.
It still exists, huh?
Oh, it does,
crazy.
big time. Like last year when the Foo Fighters came to the BOK Center, my bass player friend that I was playing with at the time, Tracy, he's been a long-time Citibank employee. Well, Citibank was sponsoring the Foo Fighters tour.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to find out how to get us on the bill. I'm like, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
He's like, I know all the top brass. I'll get an answer quick. And I'm like, all right. So he comes back. I think he was really dejected when he found out this is how much they wanted, $25K for one night. Yeah.
25. What's that buy you?
Well, it's like exposure in a variety of levels, not only to the fans that are at the show to see the Foo Fighters, but also in some of the advertising and printed on the tickets and the, just your merchandise. It just, it's a different segment of the music lover. Even after, Mark, 20-some years of doing this, there were people at that show that had never heard of me.
What?
They had never heard of Hurricane
I guarantee
Mason.
they won't forget you.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't understand how that could have happened other than this is a different segment of the audience than I usually play for, I mean, the people going to their local bar, not all of them are going to the concerts.
And vice versa, too.
And vice versa, exactly. And so, it's like you're exposing yourself to a little bit different, more discriminating music fan, and so I guess that's worth something. Plus the headline act, they got expenses. The venue's got expenses. The promoter's got expenses. It all kind of makes sense.
So they're kind of looking at someone to kind of share the cost and spread the love a little bit.
Yeah, they don't call it tour support for nothing.
Right.
But
what do you get? What do you get in return for that? You get portion of the ticket sales, or is it just exposure? Or
I would think that, like, other people that I've known that have played with big bands like that and gone on tours with big bands like that, it was just, very minimal. Maybe, they'll give you $500 or $1,000 to play at Texas Stadium. Well, that doesn't even cover really your road manager or your transportation or your tech crew or people run the merch or the merch. Because if you don't have merch in front of 18,000 people, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. So you got to have something to kind of seed the garden, And so, man, it's just sobering when you realize, wow, this is really a big business. It's not really necessarily about who's the best fit or who really wants to do it the most. It's about who's got the most money,
True.
And it's just kind of like that with everything now. But I'm still, in my heart of hearts, I still believe in the underdog and the guy out there that just does it because he loves it, And I just, like I said, I've just developed kind of a relationship with Trower's management. And, DCF, I didn't know them, but now they kind of know me. They know, hey, this guy will come in and do a good job. He'll get on television and promote our show without us having to, do it all for him or whatever, and get press and everything like that. And they kind of know what your work ethic is, and you kind of like develop a track record and a rapport with them. And I understand they don't make big money on every show. The promoter's the biggest gambler in the music business,
right.
Because they could have a Grammy winner that's $50,000, and they only sell a limited number of tickets, and whatever reason that is. Tulsa's kind of a fickle market. There's not tons and tons of people like there is in these bigger cities.
That's true, and you got tons of options now too. I mean, every casino is hosting nationwide acts, if not international acts. And, you can go every weekend and find somebody that's been on the radio.
Man, there was a week last fall where it was like, it started out, I think, Sunday night with Jack White, and every night, some venue for a week straight, there was somebody big, Grammy winner, something.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I want to go to see, 4 of these things. Well, guess what? You can't really do everything.
Right.
You don't have the time nor the money, and you have to, kind of budget what you're doing and decide what you're doing. So, it's an increasingly competitive business, which I understand that, but at the same time, you got to have some way to sustain yourself. And so that's why I was so adamant about trying to get this music out there and, get some more merch out there and, just keep on pushing forward, man.
Let's talk about your big push forward that you had to get ready for.
Yeah, so this is it right here. Be the Wolf, live at Kane's Ballroom. It's half studio and half live.
Nice.
And so the live portion comes from the first time we played with Trower at the Kane's Ballroom in 2009.
2009.
Way back in 2009.
Wow, that's 10 years ago. It's hard to believe that.
Yeah, man. We recorded it
I was
live.
still in my 30s in 2009.
Yeah. That's a long time ago. It's 10 years ago. Yeah. But it'd been bouncing around the archives, and I thought, all right, I want to make this really good. And so I put the studio tracks first, and then the live at Kane's is the second half of it. And so I felt really strongly about getting the stuff out there. Ace recorded the studio stuff and produced that, and really helped bring out a level of refinement that I hadn't really seen before. And so there's a lot of work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in those recordings, And then the live thing was recorded by my friend Les Morman, who's also deceased. And that was a monumental thing, playing with an English guitar legend like Trower was like, man, I couldn't have dreamed that when I was 13.
Right. So it looks like you got about 15 tracks on it?
Yeah, there's 15 songs on it. And so
all originals?
Yeah, except for there's a cover of Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix from the live one, and then we covered Don't Let It Bring You Down by Neil Young. That was one of the last things that Ace and Sean and I completed before he passed.
Okay.
And so it's kind of weird, prophetic type thing, It's maybe some of his final advice to me,
Sure.
It's a real cosmic heavy song lyric-wise, and we kind of did it our way and made it our thing. But all the rest is written by me and some help from Ace and Sean.
Well, it's the artwork definitely is cool looking. So
yeah, boy, it came out great, and I was really worried because I had another thing happen. It was going to happen, and he couldn't do it at the last minute. And so my friend Scott that does the Scott Yachts T-shirt graphic design, he's a really good friend, and so I called him up and sent him a Mayday message, and so he answered, and we got this all together. And he's the one that created the Wade in the Shade character that I do the voiceover voice for.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did this, and then he's like, "Hey, I got this thing I want you to do, Wade in the Shade." And so it was a sizzle reel for this festival in outside Kansas City that had like Blackberry Smoke and Whiskey Myers and Alabama was playing.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was the lineup was
thought
stellar.
they broke up.
No, they did and they didn't. I don't know.
They had the big farewell thing, and then they're back. Kind of like Brooks and Dunn, we're done. Oh, we're not done.
Yeah,
done.
right.
Ronnie, done.
Yeah, right. So he had me do that. That was really fun. I enjoyed being Wade in the Shade because he's kind of like, you get to kind of be somebody else for, and my lines aren't complicated. It's,
Yeah.
it's just fun, good.
Voiceover work's fun to do.
Yeah, it is fun. I'd like to do more of it,
Now, can we get a link up here in the notes on to
HurricaneMason.rocks, man. Check it
What
out.
about the Wade in the Shade stuff too? So people hear it. There's a sizzle reel.
Yeah, if you look at the Tumbleweed Festival on Facebook, it's called Tumbleweed. It's like the second or third year of it. You can check that out there in their videos. You can go to ScottYachtsTees.com,
Okay.
I think it is.
Very cool.
And check it all out. But yeah, that was a huge undertaking, and I was using another band. I had the Electric Billy Club guys backing me up, and so we put together a good tight show and a good presentation of the little engine that could.
Nice. So what's next on your list, man?
Well, I've been
trying to do these darn podcasts.
Yeah, I've been getting into Facebook Live.
Yeah, I saw some of that stuff. You were doing the couch ditties at one time.
Yeah, I'm still doing that too.
Nice,
It's just, first of all, I'm doing this because I like to be entertained,
and you entertain yourself well.
Right. And so I figure if someone else can be entertained or educated or stimulated or whatever it is by what I do, then my work is done.
There you go. Sure.
So I've been doing this Facebook Live videos, and it's just kind of like been me, talking about this or talking about that and what I've been doing and playing a little bit. And I've been doing some from some gigs and, just trying to like every one of these music manifesto marketing things you read is like, you got to let the audience know you. And I'm like, that is so hard, man, because I'm not like an extrovert normally, not normally an extrovert. And it's very hard for, when you think about, okay, there's 4,800 people on here that claim to know me. At least 4 of them might be watching.
Right.
Are they going to, what are they going to think of this? Well, you know what? Who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares?
It doesn't cost you anything to do it.
Exactly. And so I'm like, you have to sort of let people know you as a person, not just, hey, I'm a great musician, buy my shit. Everybody's great, right?
We're all legends in our own mind.
Exactly. And so you sort of, it's not just enough to have good music. You have to sort of create a brand. You have to create like sort of a familiarity with you and just getting people used to what you're about, and I think a lot of people, when they look at me, they don't really know. They think maybe one thing, but I'm very different than you would think. And so I've been really working hard on the, just psyching yourself up to be able to do that and just feel comfortable doing it. And, I've done enough television, radio, and all that. That's fine. But, some of that's been live. Some of it's taped. This is like right now.
Exactly. So, there's no undo, redo.
Yeah. So,
punch-ins.
there was a couple of times the other night at the gig where, let's just say the frog slipped out of my hands before I get him on the hook, And so that's the beauty of it.
Right.
People want to see the humanity of you as the artist toiling away in your natural environment.
Your natural habitat.
Yeah.
The wayward artist. That's awesome. Yeah, I know what you mean though, because along with this channel, we've got a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, the tips, tricks, and stuff like that.
I love those, man. I love it.
Thanks. And it's you come up with this idea, you run through the script in your head. And I don't read a script because I hate reading scripts. I tend to get really tongue-tied. So a lot of the stuff I'm just kind of thinking and coming up with. It says I need to say this. Oh crap, I meant to say this. Go back and say it again, and I'll end up with 40 minutes of recording that goes down to about 10 minutes. It's like, oh.
That's where they say.
Forever.
That's where they say, eat the chicken, throw out the bone.
Right. It sometimes takes forever to really get into the editing and all that, and I have to let myself I'm such a perfectionist. I have to let myself not be perfect, though.
Yeah.
Allow some of these uhs and oopses kind of slide in there.
And that's the humanity part
Right,
of it.
right.
I mean, everyone is so like technology and non-humanity is like the normal now.
Right.
So the underground and the different is being human, you know? And so that's what I think people like. And as a perfectionist, I know it's hard. It's really hard. But you get better at it. When the more you do it, the easier it is. And if you just sit down for a minute and, kind of line out in your mind what you want to say and how you want to say it, then it comes off, pretty good. Just be normal. Be yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I do is I'll just sit there and I'll say, okay, I think I did pretty good up here, and I'll just keep repeating until I finally get to the end. And then when I go to edit, I start at the end because I know the end is actually the best one, and then I'll trim it back, and find the... So sometimes it'll be like 5 or 6 takes of one particular paragraph I'm trying to say, and it's like, it's crazy. But
and that's the unnerving part about the live deal is you don't get that luxury.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
no.
So, I mean, it's hard, man. But
yeah, that's something I've been toying with. It was an idea I came up with for the summer. It's going to be the summer live sessions. So I've got a bunch of songs I've been writing. I was just going to maybe like on a Friday night at 9 o'clock, just go Facebook Live and actually record this song live or however many takes and put it out. And yeah, I've got yet to find the time to actually start that, and the summer's half over.
Well, you're a dad and a spouse, and you have a job, man.
A couple jobs, so yeah, it's crazy.
Like, between that and the stuff you've taken on with the church and everything, it's like, you're busy, dude.
Yeah. And the thing...
Don't be too hard on yourself.
But the thing about recording, too, is that you can't sit there and say, oh, I got 2 hours, I'm going to go record something.
Right.
It never works.
Right.
So I debuted a song I wrote today in church. And so over the weekend, I wanted to get it recorded so everybody can hear it to practice. I say over the holiday. And it's like, okay, I've got an hour and a half to do this. That's fine. I'll just do a quick little drum track, put the bass on the guitars, and do the vocals. 3 hours later, still not happy with the vocal track, but I had no choice. I had to send it out. So it's just pardon the vocals. This is just a demo. But yeah, you can't pin yourself down to it because especially with myself, I start to get stressed and it's like I'm frustrated.
Yeah, it's a luxury.
I don't do this anymore.
It's a luxury to work at your own leisure.
Right.
Because I've been on so many of those situations where it's like under the gun. Either we do it now, get it done in this amount of time, and that's as best as we can do. That's where we're going to end up with.
Right.
And that's stressful. But man, it's like at the same time, it's kind of that fight. It brings that out in you. Where you're not just like, I know I can just goof off for 6 years getting this snare sound.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, it's some urgency that like, hey, get this out. Don't think too much about it. All the greats, they always say, I didn't think too much about it. Yeah, well, here it is, whatever legendary song or album or whatever you didn't think too much about, and just they don't really overthink it.
Sure. Well, there's been stories about that too. I know that Walk This Way, the Aerosmith, and they're trying to record that. They couldn't come up with the hook. Couldn't figure it out, and they're just stressed out about it. Finally, the producer's like, let's go eat. Let's go watch a movie or something like that. So they went and saw Young Frankenstein. And the part where Marty Feldman is Walk This Way, and they're like,
yeah, that's it.
Finish it off.
That's our line.
Boom, exactly, just like that. And Bon Jovi is the same thing. They tried all afternoon trying to get the tracks down for Wanted Dead or Alive, and just wasn't working. So they went out and had dinner, and after 3 or 4 bottles of wine, they went back to the studio. 1 take done.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of magic happens once in a while, but you definitely can't force it. So.
Yeah, I mean, everybody says something like, it's like catching lightning in a bottle. Well, let me tell you, boys and girls, it is like catching lightning in a bottle. You can hammer away at something all day long, and next thing you know, you're just so frustrated and tired of it. Then you just come back with a fresh set of ears, and it's just all got to kind of come together and focus on one little thing, And so...
Well, I definitely know why it cost so much to record albums back in the day. Well, even today, it's like because you have that kind of situation. You can't sit there and say, I bought a block of 5 hours, and we're going to knock out 5 songs at a song an hour. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It does not work.
And I can definitely tell when somebody says, I did the drum tracks for the whole album today. I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, you can pretty well tell what the level of those drum tracks are going to be.
Kick, snare.
You can't really say you recorded 11 solid master level drum tracks for 11 songs in one day.
No.
I would say that's very impossible.
No,
maybe 2 songs in one day. I could believe that, but I mean, it just takes a lot. You got to make sure that stuff sounds good first. Then you got to make sure your signal chain's good second. Then you got to make sure that it's not overdriving. All this recording crap's, it all's got to work in concert,
Sure does.
And getting that together is difficult, especially, you know, I always look at the studio thing like this is the guy who shows up and plays with the band at its most important time, who doesn't rehearse with the band, didn't come to all the shows. Yeah. He just shows up once in a while. You got to learn how to work good with him.
Right.
And get that as tight and as close to your vision of it as you can, you know.
Oh, guys like Brent Mason that just kind of walk in there. And it always amazes me watching his photos, too. Oh, yeah, they had a couple hours studio session, and just the amount of gear that he hauls in just for those couple of hours.
Oh, he doesn't haul it in.
He doesn't.
He's got a cartage company.
The amount of gear that is there and present, he almost builds like this cubicle around himself with the racks and all that. And, and I'm just watching him work, like even the volume pedal while he's doing these solos. It's like, dude, how do you move all those things at the same time?
Well, he's geared for doing that.
Sure.
You know, that's why he plays on those session guys play on a lot of those records. And I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it all the time. I think if the artist is working with a good band with them on the road, then that they should be on the record.
Right. Yeah.
But Nashville's full of reasons why and everything, and I don't really even know. But like Mason's really good at it, and he's been doing it, focusing on that primarily for a long time. He's good at working with the producers. He knows he understands what they want. He's good at reading the Nashville numbering system charts. I mean, I taught this guy that was like his uncle. I'm trying to think what his uncle's name was, but he was a fiddle player. And when I was teaching him lessons, he's like, yeah, my uncle played on this bluegrass album. Brent Mason played guitar, and you know, a bunch of the A-listers were on it. They cut an entire record in one day.
Isn't that crazy?
From demos. It's like, here's the demo. Okay, here's the chart. Okay, let's try it once. Yeah, all right, that was pretty good. Go on to the next one. I mean, and it's like a machine, man. It's like a hit factory. And those guys are good at it. Everything's working all the time, you know. I mean, guys like me, I got to go out and make money and play on the road and do this and that, and then, you know, think about this as a whole nother headspace.
Yep. Exactly. So when you record, though, do you like to do it all at once, get the whole band in there and record, or do you kind of let the drummer track out and you go back and redo your guitars?
It depends on what it is. It just depends on what it is. You know, if it's like, if it's a song that's got a couple of different parts or maybe like different feel. You know, feel is the hardest thing to catch, especially when it's at a click track that's just, I mean, after a while, it's like Chinese water torch. You're just on your forehead just like this. And so...
Yeah, there's a whole science behind that thing, too. It's called ear fatigue.
Yeah.
If it's too perfect all the time, your ears actually start to fatigue and then it doesn't sound perfect anymore.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, and so, you know, I love to record all together in one room, hit go, and maybe I'll do a scratch vocal. Maybe it'll end up working out to be the real vocal. But 9 times out of 10, it probably won't, because, you know, you're playing, you're trying to interact with the other musicians, you're trying to get it all like you want it, and sometimes the vocals are just there for a placeholder.
Right. I think that's what you did that time I helped you guys record, too.
Yeah. We did you know, I always try to shoot for, like, just the basic tracks means drums are the real tracks, bass is the real tracks, scratch guitar that may end up as a part of an overdub, you know, just the basic tracks. If I can get that, then I can do some vocals, and if it needs any overdubs, I can do that. But, you know, there's all kinds of different ways. You know, building it piece by piece takes a long time, but you can really make it exact. And, you know, it's just all what your vision for the project is, really, man. I mean, that's just the bottom line of it. And there's no right or wrong. There's no whatever. Now, I mean, when somebody tells me, all right, we've got all the instruments, now the drummer is going to come in and record the drums. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like it's going to be very good, because, you know, the drummer is going to have a real hard time matching up to the bass, guitar, piano, and singing. You know, it just didn't seem like it made any sense to me, but, you know.
Well, it's kind of where I'm at, because I'm doing everything myself, at least for the beginning part of it. And so I'll program out on the drum track and using GarageBand. I'll actually do the drums the way I kind of envisioning them sounding, and then I'm going to hand it off to our drummer at church, and he's going to go ahead and play them live over it, but with his own flair and stuff on there. So at least, but I could not imagine a drummer going in and trying to do it over just a simple click track. So,
and they would not like to do it.
Well,
they wouldn't like to do it at all.
So.
A lot of them don't like to play with click tracks, but I'm telling you, certain spots it really matters. And, you know, there's nothing that hurts more than listening to a recording later. It's like, wow, it drags here, or that speeds up here. Or like one time, Sean was overdubbing some tambourine, and it was very hard to get the tambourine synced up with the hi-hat because we didn't use a click track.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, you live and learn, you know. Nothing's perfect. It's
Once
just a
again,
snapshot of me in the 7th grade or whatever, you know.
And once again, so back to that, how many hours are you going to spend working on it?
Right.
Like,
And
what's your
sometimes
budget, so?
sometimes you just want to get it out there as quick as you can, you know. Don't let overthinking kill your artistic
right,
bug.
and that's why I think once I do find some time, I'm going to start trying to do these live sessions. I'm not going to call them summer live sessions. There's not enough summer left, but you know, maybe if I get a couple out a month and just basic acoustic stuff,
do it, man.
Maybe overdub some background vocals after the fact, but you know, let people watch me during the process.
Well, then see, that's the thing. It's like they get the inside look at, you know, the song from its creation, from just a simple germ of an idea to, you know, here's a little bit, you know, a more finished, realized version of it, and then, you know, they will feel really like part of it, you know. And that's the society we live in, you know. I mean, I don't know how many, at least once every gig, there's always somebody that wants to come up and sing with me. Well, look, I'm not really here to back you up. I'm here at a gig, and they've paid me to play, and I don't know who you are. And, you know, it's just they want to feel involved. They want to feel like they're active in something. That would be very useful and very beneficial, I think, to do something like that.
Well, that one tune that I put out, Good to Be Alive, and I had done a video on Facebook, says, hey, you know, here's the track. Record yourself on your computer, on your iPhone, whatever, send it in, and I'll mash it all together. I had 2 people send it in, 1 or 2 people, but then I happened to be on a business trip, and I had my microphone with me, my condenser mic.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, all my colleagues tonight up at my hotel room, and we all gathered around this thing, and I just sat there and says, okay, you're going to say Sha-Na Na's right here, and Good to Be Alive right here, and they did it, and man, it just... Once I got that all mixed in there with the others that submitted, it's like, dude, that sounded really cool.
That was great. I watched that. That was great, man.
Yeah,
I loved it. And, you know, it got people involved.
Yeah.
Got them interested. Hey, I was on a record this weekend.
So I actually have some raw footage of us shooting that, so I'm going to, one of these days, put together a little behind the scenes, behind the music. Good to Be Alive. And talk about when I wrote the thing on the hood of my car in Wentz Hall. And
right.
We played that several times in our coffee shop days. And,
man, those are some days, huh?
Those are some days, yeah. Hard to believe that's, what, 25?
It's at least 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah. I was just thinking, it's like, shoot, I'm 31 years since graduating high school. It's like, oh, yes, I am old. Get over it. You can be as cool as me someday.
I've been 27 for 20 years.
Oh, crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, I won't tell you what I had to do to be able to make that happen, but
yeah.
Anyway.
There's a lot of things that we probably shouldn't tell what we've done. So. Or at least save it for another episode of the Mark About Music podcast.
Yeah, on the website we'll have the real R-rated and X-rated stuff.
Oh, exactly.
You'll have to pay for that.
That's the subscription service. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
Well, let's see. I've got a few things cooking here. One of them is a band with the guys from Electric Billy Club called the Black Cat Electric Company.
Wow, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And so, you know, I've looked up to Bo for a long time. You know, he was with Leon all those years, and I knew Dave from before, and he helped us out on bass. And I'd met Dustin, you know, when I started working with them for the Trower show. And so I just really, you know, these guys are real good dudes. They're nice guys. They're excellent musicians. And so, you know, we realized it's like, hey, you know, sometimes you know, be able to get different gigs and more gigs, you have to change up your tray a little bit, you know? So we're working in some other songs, some cover tunes, some copy tunes, souped them up like our style. And so we're working on that. And I've got us a couple gigs booked in the fall already. So it gives us something to shoot at.
Yeah.
And then while continuing the Electric Billy Club, Hurricane Mason, Sideshow Bob, whatever, you know. And so it's like I'm doing that. Then I've been jamming with my buddy Dennis, who I played on some of his records. You know, Ace recorded some of his stuff over there, and I played guitar on some of it. And we've done a bunch of gigs over the years. And so I got a call from him. He said, "Hey, Matt, I know this drummer. I've been jamming with him at church." And I was like, "Oh, yeah?" He's like, "Yeah, he's wanting to play some music." I'm like, "All right, well, am I playing bass or singing or playing guitar or what?" You know, because Dennis is a really good songwriter, singer, guitar player. And he's like, "Well, I don't know. Maybe we should find a bass player." I'm like, "Well, okay." So
good luck on that.
my friend Jack down the road, he watches the house and stuff when I'm on tour. He's been a great friend of mine, and he's been telling me about this guy that lives across the street from him. And he's a bass player, and he's kind of been out of it for about a decade. His wife had some health issues, and so he's been kind of caring for her, and she's, back in the swing of it all. And so he's ready to get back into it. Mm-hmm. And I called Jack. I was like, Jack, what's this bass player's name? Give me his number. I want to call him up, talk to him. I've been hearing about this for years,
mm-hmm.
So I call him up, and he's like, yeah, I'd be down for that. You got a drummer? I'm like, yeah, David Prince. Hey, me and David were in a band together for 15 years.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what's the chances,
does this happen,
man?
right?
So 10 years ago, they were in a band for 15 years together.
Wow.
And Mike, the bass player, lives right down the road from me, across from my friend Jack. So we've been getting together like on Thursday out there at my house, just blowing through whatever we got, whatever
mm-hmm.
we want. So I think, we've been trying to talk about like what we're going to call this thing, because I've been booking us some gigs for that too, in the fall. And I don't know, I'm almost tempted to try to do it different, where like, okay, when we go out as a country band, we're going to be called this. Mm-hmm. We go out as a rock and roll band, we're going to be called this. We go out as a blues band, we're going to do this. And so what I've gotten on the plate now is there's this event center out there near my house, and it's a good-sized place. Yeah, it's called the Rogers Event Center.
Oh, that's not where we went and saw Willie Nelson.
Mm-mm.
That was the Claremore Event Center.
Yeah, that was over there by the fairgrounds.
Right.
This is out there on 4200 Road. You can get to it off of, it's right and kind of backs up to the casino, really, out there. So it's like, it holds like 650 people inside. It's got a really nice stage, really nice bathrooms, beautiful grounds. They've got several like gazebo stages outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm starting this music series. Mm-hmm. Once a month, I'm going to have a couple of acts and vinyl records, and then, a steak dinner.
Wow.
So all these people around the area,
mm-hmm.
they'll be able to come and have a steak dinner, listen to some vinyl records, and listen to 2 great musical acts.
Nice.
All within 5 miles of their house. And so it's like really is a great thing, because I'm so excited about doing this, because I've realized it's like, okay, you have to take control of your career. You have to take control of your destiny. You have to, do something different than what everyone else is doing. And so this is just a great opportunity. I'm really excited about it. I know it's going to be a lot of work, but I think the rewards are going to be really good.
Nice. If you ever need a slot for a singer-songwriter guy, let me know.
Well, I would absolutely. That's why I was over here. I came over here. I was going to ask you if you wanted to be a part of it.
It'd be kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really good.
We're going to have to sit down and have a business meeting over cocktails one of these evenings, because those are the best business meetings. So.
Exactly.
Oh, cool, man. That's exciting. Awesome. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to cover out of this podcast, eh?
I'd say that's a pretty good start.
That's a good start, right, to get us back in the swing of things.
That's our ticket for, where we've been for the last however many.
Right, that's
weeks.
our excuse, like it or not, right? But anyway, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and click the little dinger bell so that we'll get your notifications. We're going to try to get these out once a week again, and at least for the next couple of months until we run into a whole nother batch of life to deal with.
Yeah, sure.
But any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. We'll have links then to how you can get a hold of Matt's new CD and where some of our other videos and things are. So until next time, I am Mark Allen V.
And I'm Matt Mason.
Peace.
See ya.